Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Jimbos Garage. Well, today we got a pretty fun little metal project we're going to be working on. It's not a very big one, but it involves a little bit of welding, a little bit of cutting, a little bit of grinding. That's going to be an important key later on in this video. Basically, we've got 8 L brackets to make, roughly 6 feet tall by 5 feet wide. One side's going to be attached to a block wall, the other side's going to be attached to a building. We're going to be making a sleeve that fits inside the end that attached to the building, just in case the wall or the building moves over time. It's not going to pull it apart from either side. We'll be able to slide with it. I've drawn a little illustration to show you, if you haven't followed me, what this is going to look like. So let's take a look at that and we'll get started on today's project. Okay, so I hope you can see this. Reach around the camera here a little bit. So basically, fairly simple. This is the block wall here. This is the building, obviously. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing. 1.5 inch square tube, going to mount to the block wall in 2 locations. I'm going to have a tab on the bottom and a tab up near the top. And then it's going to come straight across where I'm going to mount it to this building here. And it's going to have a slide sleeve in here in case in time the house moves or the wall moves. It's not going to pull it apart. This is going to be able to move with it. Now the idea of these brackets right here is there's going to be 8 of them. It's going to span about 24 feet in length. And the person's going to be hanging some, I'm not an artist here, but maybe you guys can follow me on this. This is, he's got some exotic ferns and potted plants, and he's going to have a series of rows of these things that are going to go all the way down and be able to hang these plants from it. And then even on the side, I think there's going to be some sort of a mounting plant that's going to be able to mount down the side. So that's the idea. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. So let's get started. All right, so we're getting started by cutting the tubing. And one thing I want to mention about this tubing, it comes in 20-foot lengths and at the metal supply store, and I can't really carry 20-foot lengths on my truck. So what I usually do is take into consideration the length that I need of the project I'm doing, because I don't want to get them cut right in half, because oftentimes that doesn't work. That's the case in this situation right here, where I had to have them cut at 80 inches, and so I was able to use both sides. So a little bit of strategy, if you're going to the metal supply store and you're making a project and you can't carry 20-footers, you might want to think about how you're going to have them cut it up. But you can see that I'm just cutting everything up right here. I get a lot of people ask me, what do I use for marking the metal? This is just a silver pencil. I get these on Amazon. I think they're about $12 for a dozen of them, and you can see how well they mark the metal, and it worked out really good for me. I use a lot of those. Again, just back over the fine slugger, making all the cuts needed to get this project going. For such a simple little project here with just 8 brackets, ended up to be quite a bit. A lot of cutting, a lot of measuring, but I was able to get through it. And here's what I'm talking about right here. This is the new Burr King. This is relatively new to the shop. And I'm telling you, this thing is amazing. I don't know how I got along all this time without using one of these things, but one of the things I like about it is the way that the platen moves away and the table moves away and the belt is flexible, especially for stuff like this right here, deburring and grinding. This is the other good feature I like about it, variable speed. Turn the machine on and adjust the belt speed. Pretty awesome. Again, just see how the belt flexes and moves around. It's perfect for rounding off corners and deburring without hitting it really hard and afraid you might take too much off. So I was just going ahead and I was just finishing up deburring some of the angles and all the pieces right here. This is a really nice machine. So I'm over here at the mill now, and I'm getting ready to drill out all the little tabs that I've got. Several tabs. Actually, there are 8 this size right here, and I believe there's 16 a little bit smaller ones. And so in my drill press, I'd never be able to do this, but in the mill, you can see how I just stacked them up, taped them all together so they wouldn't move around as much. They did move around a little bit, but I was able to drill right through at least 6 or 7 pieces at a time right here. and it just saved a lot of time doing that. And of course the tape, like I said, holding it together with tape really helped out a lot. Yeah, that mill was pretty cool. I really, yeah, excited about using that. And I've only been starting to use that in just in the last 4 or 5 months here. Those are the shorter pieces there. All right, so I just took it over to the vise and just took a countersink bit, because the outside of both sides of that, the material was a little rough, but that countersink took care of that. Taping it together was okay, but man, I had a hard time getting the tape off all of these things. It took a little bit of time, but ultimately I got it done. And these are the long pieces right here, all drilled out, ground down, and ready to go. And then this is the short stack right here, if you will. Again, these are going to be tabs that are going to be on the on that little sleeve that I was talking about. I'm just drilling those things out again and deburring them on the outside, take the tape off, and they're all ready to go. That worked out pretty good. So I'm laying out for the tabs right here. Now, I've got a method to my madness here and how I'm going to do this. Like you guys know, I build as I go right here, so I'm just trying to figure out the best way and the simplest way for me to make this work good. And I decided that I was going to get these tabs in the midway section welded on first. And what I'm doing is I'm just tacking them into place. I've made my measurement. I'm tacking them on either side. And I'm going to come back here and weld both front and back side here pretty quick. But first, just getting everything plumb and tacked into place using a mag square. That worked out really good. And you can see right here, this is how I'm going ahead and I'm welding the front side. And there's my wife. She came in the background there getting a couple of photos while I was doing the work. That's pretty cool. She's always hanging out doing stuff like that. I'm not paying any attention. But finishing up the welding right here, and this is front side and back side, and I'm going to show you a couple of shots right here of that. I'm going to figure out I'm going to figure out a way to get some arc shots for you guys, because I think it would be pretty cool. I've heard a couple of suggestions from some fellow YouTubers of how to do that. I just need to apply that. There's a shot, a couple of welds right there. And here comes corner vise, and I'm starting the assembly to these brackets. And this corner vise, there's several different methods out there, but this is the one that I have, and it works really good. There's no messing around. You just clamp it in there. It's a perfect 90 degrees, and you can just go ahead and weld it out, and you never have to worry about it being out of square. And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. Once I got that done, I decided now I'm going to put the tab on the bottom half of this, and it just worked out that way. This is no rhyme or reason. This is just the way that I felt it would work the best for me. And I just complete, one bracket at a time this way. And then there it is, putting the tab on the very bottom right there. And now that will complete the bracket. And I just did one at a time. And once I got was all welded out, what I did do is I ground the front of each one of them flat, because that's what's going to be mounting flush to the wall and flush to the house. I didn't want the weld to be protruding out in any way. It is welded on the back side right there. A little bit of undercut there on that front side weld. I didn't take that much pay that much attention to the front side. I knew I was grinding it down. It's not going to go anywhere. And I was just getting them done one by one right here and stacking them up. We're getting pretty close here. And these are the little slide tabs I was mentioning about, and I'm just getting the tabs welded on those. This is 1.25 inch square tube that fits right inside that 1.5 inch square tube pretty good. That big aluminum block right there is, I'm using that act as like a heat sink, if you will. I just didn't want to, when I was tacking those tabs to the bottom, I didn't want to use my welding table. I might have tacked them right to the table. That's why that aluminum block is there. That's what I'm doing that with. That's why I'm using that aluminum block. But it was a pretty quick process right here. I was able to go around all of them and get them all done. And there they are. And this is how they work. At least this is my plan. You can see it. They slide right on the inside, and a little bit of movement. I mean, it's not a perfectly tight fit, but I don't want a perfectly tight fit. I want a little bit of breathing room around the edge, and able for it to move around nice and freely. Well, there it is. The brackets are complete, and I got to say, for such a simple little project that this thing should have been just a couple pieces welded together on a on a 90-degree angle and making some tabs. It turned out to be quite a little bit of a project. I worked on this thing for about 8 hours yesterday, but hey, ended up getting it done. So there's only one thing left to do, is to get this over to the paint shop, get it painted, and finish this project up. Let's do it. Yeah, and it worked out pretty good. Got it over to the paint shop. Yeah, paint shop, funny. That's right there in the garage. Got it all done, and took it over to the customer, got him installed, and it was a few weeks later, but he did send me some pictures of him starting to hang the plants and stuff on it a couple of different ways. I don't think he's quite finished, but anyways, to give you some idea of what it's going to be looking like. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.